What if I told you that 70% of project planners and managers get critical path analysis completely wrong, and that these mistakes cost companies millions in delays and overruns? In the next 15 minutes, you'll witness a real-world planning meeting where even experienced professionals make critical errors. I'm Dr. Francis's AI teaching assistant, and today we're diving into a banking project simulation that will transform how you analyze project networks. You'll observe Liz, Mark, and Francis as they plan a digital banking rollout. Your job? Spot the mistakes they miss. Let's begin.
Right, team. Welcome to the planning meeting for Project IT-OBP-001, the online banking portal rollout. This isn't just another IT project. We're revolutionizing how our customers bank. The stakes couldn't be higher. Zero tolerance for security breaches, 99.9% uptime from day one, and we need 60% of customers successfully onboarding digitally within the first month. The board is breathing down our necks, and frankly, failure isn't an option. Mark, you've been working on the activity sequence. Walk us through your proposed approach.
Absolutely, Liz. I've been thinking about this like building a house. You can't put the roof on before laying the foundation, right? Here's what I'm proposing. We start with drafting our project charter. That's our foundation. Takes about 2 days. Once that's locked down, we can kick off 3 parallel streams. First, capture requirements. Quick and dirty, just 1 day. Second, design system architecture. This is our heavy lifting, 6 days of detailed work. And third, we run a stakeholder workshop, 2 days to get everyone aligned. Once all 3 of those are complete, we move into the meat of it. Develop core modules, 6 intensive days of coding and integration. Finally, we wrap up with integration and UAT, 3 days to make sure everything works perfectly.
So we're looking at A leading to B, C, and D in parallel, then all 3 feeding into E, and finally F to close it out?
Exactly, clean and logical.
Okay, Mark, I appreciate the logic, but I need to challenge something here. You mentioned that the stakeholder workshop runs parallel to requirements capture, starting right after the charter is complete. But doesn't the workshop depend on actually having those requirements first? How can we facilitate meaningful stakeholder discussions about what we don't know yet?
Hang on. You're absolutely right, Francis. I was so focused on parallel efficiency that I missed the logical dependency. The stakeholder workshop definitely needs to follow requirements capture, not run alongside it. Good catch. That's exactly why we plan together.
This is why we plan together, team. Francis just saved us from a potential 2-day delay down the line. That kind of logic error discovered in week 10 instead of week 1 would have been a disaster. Right, Francis. I need you to build the complete program now. Full network diagram with all dependencies, durations, forward and backward passes, float calculations, the works. I want the critical path clearly identified. Take 20 minutes. Mark and I will review the budget assumptions while you work. When you come back, I want a comprehensive briefing on our schedule.
Okay, understood, Liz. I'll map out the complete network logic, run all the calculations, and identify our critical path and float values. See you in 20 minutes.
Perfect timing, Francis. Mark and I just finished the budget review. Walk us through what you've built.
Right, here's our complete program analysis. Let me walk you through the network logic first. Activity A, draft project charter, is our starting point. This leads to Activity B, capture requirements, and also to Activity C, design system architecture. Then, as we corrected earlier, Activity D, stakeholder workshop, depends on B completing first. All 3 activities, B, C, and D, must complete before we can start Activity E, develop core modules. Finally, Activity F, integration and UAT, depends on E finishing.
That matches what we discussed. What do the calculations show?
After running the forward pass, Activity A finishes on day 2, B finishes on day 3, C finishes on day 8, D finishes on day 5, E finishes on day 14, and F completes the project on day 17.
So 17 working days total for project completion?
Exactly. The backward pass reveals our critical path clearly. A, C, E, F. That's draft project charter, design system architecture, develop core modules, and integration and UAT. The good news is that activities B and D have float. Capture requirements has 5 days of total float, and stakeholder workshop has 7 days of total float.
Excellent work, Francis. So our critical activities are locked in. Any delay on A, C, E, or F directly pushes our go-live date. But we have some breathing room with B and D. Perfect. Now I want to stress test this program with some real-world scenarios. Let's see how well you understand the network dynamics under pressure. Right. Let's assume Murphy's Law strikes. Our key business analyst, the one leading the requirements capture, calls in sick with flu. This causes a 1-day delay to the stakeholder workshop, Activity D. The steering committee is asking, what's the impact on developed core modules and our overall project completion?
Let me work through this systematically. The 1-day delay hits Activity D, which currently has 7 days of total float. Since develop core modules, Activity E, depends on both C and D completing, but C is our longer path finishing on day 8. The delay to D still allows it to finish on day 6, well before C completes. Bottom line, the delay falls within available float. No impact on Activity E's start date, no impact on project completion. I'd tell the steering committee to breathe easy. We're still on track for our day 17 finish.
Understood. Second scenario. Compliance just threw us a curveball. Design system architecture, Activity C, gets delayed by 2 days due to additional regulatory requirements we didn't anticipate. Simultaneously, capture requirements, Activity B, also gets delayed by 2 days because key stakeholders are traveling and unavailable. What's the combined impact on our program?
Right, let me analyze this step by step. Both activities are delayed by 2 days, but the impact isn't as bad as it seems. The delay on B affects D, but D has plenty of float to absorb it. The delay on C is more concerning since it's on the critical path, but since it depends on both C and D completing, and D still finishes before the delayed C, we're looking at just the 2-day delay from C, so the project extends by 2 days total.
Thank you, Francis. Third scenario. Some good news for a change. Thanks to exceptional stakeholder engagement and preparation, capture requirements, Activity B, finishes 1 day early. How does this impact our network and program?
Since B finishes 1 day early, this gives the stakeholder workshop additional float. The overall project duration remains unchanged at 17 days because B isn't on the critical path. We can either advance D by 1 day or bank the additional float as buffer for future risks. From a Primavera P6 perspective, I'd recommend banking the float unless there's strategic value in acceleration.
Final scenario. After reviewing the workshop scope in detail, we determined that the stakeholder workshop Activity D can actually be completed in 1 day instead of the original 2 days. How does this scoop reduction affect our program timeline?
This is excellent news, Liz. Since D feeds into E and we've shortened D's duration by 1 day, we can start E 1 day earlier than originally planned. This means the entire project finishes 1 day ahead of schedule, day 16 instead of day 17. It's not often we get positive news like this in project management. I'd recommend we communicate this schedule improvement to the steering committee immediately.
Thank you, Francis. That's exactly the kind of detailed analysis we need for tomorrow's steering committee presentation. Your network understanding will be crucial for managing stakeholder expectations. Those scenarios represent the real-world chaos that hits every project. The question is, how accurate was our analysis?
There you have it, troopers. You've witnessed a complete planning meeting with network analysis and scenario testing. Liz's team worked through their program logic, identified their critical path, and analyzed 4 real-world scenarios. But here's the million-dollar question. Did Francis get all his analyses correct? Or did you spot some critical errors in his reasoning? This is where your network analysis skills get put to the ultimate test. You have everything you need. Complete activity data with durations and dependencies, Francis's network logic and critical path identification, his detailed responses to 4 scenarios, the same information available to any project manager. Your mission is clear. Build that network diagram yourself. Run your own forward and backward passes. Calculate those float values independently, then validate or challenge every single one of Francis's scenario responses. Remember, in real project meetings, incorrect analysis leads to missed deadlines, budget overruns, and careers ending. The ability to spot these errors and speak up respectfully could be the difference between project success and organizational disaster. You have 20 minutes. Draw your network, run your calculations, and prepare your analysis. The clock starts now, troopers. Show me what you've learned. Time's up, troopers. Excellent work on completing your network analysis. You've just experienced what real project planners face every day: the pressure to get critical path calculations right when careers and projects are on the line. Now, here's what I need you to do. Put your answers in the comments section. Tell us, first question, did Francis get his float calculations on activities B and D right? Which scenarios did Francis get correct? Which scenarios did Francis get wrong? What were his specific mistakes? What should the correct answers have been? Dr. Francis is already working on creating a detailed video breakdown of the correct solutions. He'll walk you through each scenario step by step, show you the proper network analysis, and explain exactly where Francis went wrong in his reasoning. This follow-up video will be released soon, so make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. But first, engage with us. Drop your analysis in the comments. Did you spot both of Francis's errors? Were you confident in your network diagram? How did the time pressure feel? Remember, troopers, the ability to spot these critical errors under pressure isn't just an academic exercise. It's the difference between project success and organizational disaster. It's what separates good project planners from great ones. If you want to learn more or join the next masterclass, please go to https://p6.thetruetroop.com/connect right now to join. There you can get access to free resources like the popular book, A to Z of Project Scheduling, 100 Terms Every Planner Should Know. Dr. Francis will see you in the next video with all the answers. Until then, keep analyzing, keep learning, and keep pushing your project planning skills to the next level. This is your AI teaching assistant signing off. See you in the solutions video.